the beat, but...
Today on Pay Runner Pass, we're taking a look at the latest release from 2K Games and Gearbox Software, Borderlands, for the Xbox 360. Now, the game is billed as a co-op and single-player first-person shooter RPG. That's a mouthful. The question is, does it live up to that description? Firstly, let's talk about the story. The game takes place on planet Pandora, and players are in search of a legendary vault that contains numerous treasures. In their search for the vault, players take command of one of 4 different classes that the game has to offer. The big buff tank-type berserker, the phase-walking siren, the pet-controlling sniper hunter, or the turret-dropping soldier class are all at players' disposal. Now, each of these classes has their own strengths and special abilities and are a hell of a lot of fun to play as. Throughout the game, as players level up, they'll have the ability to spend skill points on different abilities for each of the classes. Over the course of the game, players will be able to completely max out 2 full rows of upgrades, so you have to choose wisely. Do you want to be greedy and pick up the perks that benefit you, or should you pick out the things that will benefit your squad mates? It's up to the player to decide, and actually provides a valid reason to come back and play the game through again and again, trying out different perks and seeing the outcome.
I'm sure we'll be doing this all again soon enough.
The game offers up over 100 missions to play through and an insurmountable amount of different weapons to use that range from common items to extremely unique and rare artifacts. The game has a Diablo World of Warcraft feel to it. Lots of grinding, lots of looting going on in Borderlands. You know, I have to admit, I was really a bit skeptical as to whether or not a system like this would work in a first-person shooter, but after spending many hours with the game, rest assured that it goes above and beyond and completely succeeds. The single-player game in this game is fun, but can get a little boring not having 3 other players to help you out. Where the game really shines, though, is in online co-op play. Jump online with 3 friends, and the game just gets flat-out amazing. Make sure you play with friends, though, because this game doesn't have a role system in place for unique items, which is a bit of a bummer as well. Overall, though, the gameplay is solid and will provide players with hours upon hours of enjoyment. The graphics in Borderlands are unique and have a feel all their own. The cartoony cel-shaded feel really helps bring to life a game and environments that would otherwise be brown, drab, and boring. The characters and environments all pop due to slight outlines that are placed around everything in the game. The character design in the game is extremely well done. All of the characters look like they belong in the world that Gearbox created for them. Another thing that really stands out are the weapon designs. I mentioned earlier that the game has a plethora of weapons for you to find and use, and each of these has their own look and feel. It's really quite impressive, and it's obvious that the developers took a lot of time to polish the weapons in Borderlands. One of the only setbacks in the graphics department is the fact that many times in the game, the details in the environments and characters won't be loaded right away. So you start off a level with a flat mat of color over everything, and slowly the details will start to fill in. It can be a little distracting. It was one of the first things that I actually noticed when starting up the game. But if you can get past the details slowly filling in, the graphics otherwise are solid. Borderlands' sound is remarkable. The voice acting is on par with the environments you play in, and what I mean by that is all the characters sound like backwards hillbillies that live in the middle of nowhere.
Pay for that!
The soundtrack manages to keep you immersed in the world even if you aren't in the middle of an epic gun battle, and speaking of gun battles, one of the most impressive things about the sound in this game has to be the different amount of gun sound effects found within. Just as the look of the guns in Borderlands is unique, so are the sounds that come out of them. Again, time well spent developing uniqueness for all the weapons found in the game. Being that this is a first-person shooter, controls need to be tight in order for the game to work as it should. That being said, the controls are exceptionally tight in Borderlands. Everything is quick and responsive, and the game doesn't overload you with too many things to manage at once. The layout provided was plotted out well enough for me that I didn't want to change anything. Now, the only thing that was a little wonky was trying to drive the vehicles in the game. Borderlands driving controls are supposed to work like Halo's, but for some reason just don't work as well. It's a small gripe in an otherwise near-perfect control scheme. Borderlands for the Xbox 360 is an extremely addicting title. It's the type of game that had me saying to myself at 2 in the morning, alright, just one more quest, then I'll be done. Maybe one more quest after that, and then maybe another quest, and then it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know what happened. I mean, that for me is a rarity. The replay value on Borderlands is extremely high. It's got 4 different classes that you can play as, each with their own unique skill trees and abilities to customize. I mean, players are going to absolutely want to go back and try out different combinations and classes. Playing online with friends and looting and leveling up is a blast as well, and I would recommend to anyone to go out and pick up this title immediately and start playing. Borderlands for the Xbox 360 is a pay.